Alright, so what we have here today is an iPhone 5. It's not a C or an S, it's just a regular iPhone 5. So what we're going to do is go through the steps of replacing the screen. I've actually already replaced this one, but I'm going to run you through the steps here real quick. The tools that you'll need a 0.8 by 30 millimeter screwdriver. That's going to be your star. And then you also need just some type of small Phillips screwdriver and also some type of suction cup. I just have a cheap suction cup here. There are several different tools you can use, but you can use a cheap one if you don't have anything else handy. And then I also like to use this opener tool. You don't necessarily need to have one of these. It just makes my life a lot easier. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the screws out of the bottom of the charging port here. So you're going to take your star screwdriver there, and you're just going to take those screws out. And off to the right here I have a magnetic mat. If you're going to do a lot of phones, I would suggest getting one of those so you don't lose all your screws. Alright, so after you have those screws out, just take your suction cup, put it on there, and pull up. And depending on the type of phone you have and how long it's been since the screen has been replaced, depends on how easy it is to get this open. So that's where my pry tool comes in handy. There we go. Let's go around the edges here. Now if you're working with a 5C that has a plastic case on it, these screens are much easier to get up. But when you're working with a 5 or a 5S that has these metal screens, they can be a little more difficult to get the screen out. And I'm just going to go along the edges here. Got the one side free. Alright, now I should just be able to pull this out. Alright. So before we do anything, we want to go ahead and disconnect the battery. So you're just going to take your Phillips screwdriver and you're going to take this screw here and this screw here out. So we'll go ahead and take those out real quick. Also helps if you have a magnetic tip screwdriver, make your life a lot easier. That way you're not losing screws when you're working on your phones. Alright, so next you just need to pull this up. This is what connects you to the battery. That way if you happen to do anything that you're not supposed to, you're not going to end up shorting something out. So we'll go ahead and disconnect that. You could take some type of plastic pry tool, or in my case I'm just going to take my fingernail and pop that up. Alright, now our battery is disconnected. Next step you need to do, if you're just replacing the screen, you need to remove these 3 screws. So go ahead and remove those. Make sure that you keep these in order. There are longer screws than others, and if you do not put them back in the right spot, you could end up damaging your logic board. So make sure that you get the appropriate screw in the appropriate slot when you're putting all this back together. Another nice thing about having your magnetic mat is you can stick them exactly in the place that you pulled them out in nice neat order, so you don't have to worry about it. And this little plate just pops right off. Alright, now you can see that we have these connectors here that connect your screen to your logic board. So you either want to take a plastic sponger and move those off, or you can take your fingernail like I do and they'll just pop right off. So should be 3 connectors on here. One is for your LCD, one is for your digitizer, and one is for your camera. Alright, so now we've got all three of those connectors off, and you can see on the logic board that we've removed all three of those. Alright, so if you have a new screen, one that has the home button on it already and has the back plate and has your camera and stuff, you can just reverse order this. So we'll go ahead and put the screen back on. If you had just if you bought a cheaper screen that didn't have all the stuff on it, you'll just have to remove all the stuff, and I'll cover that in another video. So you would take the two screws off here, remove the speaker, you'd take the screws off this outer portion of this back panel and remove that, put it on the new screen. Then you take out these screws here and take off your home button, and you put that on your new screen as well. But in our case, we just had a complete screen, so we're just going to switch this over. Alright, so you want to make sure that you line these up appropriately. Can be kind of difficult at times, but once you get them on there, you should hear almost a snap. They snap in place. Alright, once you get all three of them on there, you'll go ahead and put your plate back on there. Once again, make sure that you get your screws back in the appropriate spots. If I can stop bumping the camera here, we'll be okay. Alright, next thing you want to do is go ahead and plug your battery back in, so that just snaps in place as well. Once you get that on there, you're going to put your plate back on there and then put those two screws back in. Just make sure that your screw holes are lined up so it makes it nice and easy. Alright, I always like to make one last inspection to make sure that all my screws are in. This particular phone only had 5 screws that we need to take out, so I don't have any left, so we're in good shape. Now, what you want to do next is, if you look at the very edge of this phone, if you can see that there are little clips in there, so you want to get this plastic out of the way here. You want to start at this end and push down in there, and it locks into place. And then you can just kind of push the sides down here. And once again, the 5s and the 5S's can kind of be a pain, especially with these metal casings. Sometimes you drop them on the corner, they get bent here, and you'll have to pry some of that out. But in this case, they took fairly decent care of it, so there weren't any bent corners or anything. Alright, so now what we have to do is put the screws back in the bottom here. And then we're good to go and replace screen.